Two best friends wearing matching Manchester United shirts walked out of their home village one summer evening and were never seen alive again. The beginning of a nightmare. It was Sunday, August 4th, 2002, a warm summer evening in the quiet English village of Soham. At around 5 p.m., 10-year-old best friends Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman were enjoying a simple family barbecue at Holly's home. Just two ordinary girls, laughing, eating, and wearing their brand new red Manchester United shirts. At 6:15 p.m., the girls decided to go for a short walk to buy some sweets from a nearby shop. They promised they wouldn't be long. With their matching shirts and bright smiles, they strolled out of the house and into the calm village streets. By 6:25 p.m., Holly and Jessica were spotted walking together, chatting happily, only a few streets away from home. But that was the last time anyone saw them alive. When 8 p.m. came and the girls hadn't returned, families grew anxious. By 9 p.m., panic spread as calls to friends and neighbors brought no answers. Their disappearance didn't make sense. This was a small, safe village where children usually roamed freely. As the night dragged on, the atmosphere in Soham turned from worry to dread. Parents searched the streets with flashlights, calling out their names into the darkness. But the silence was heavy, too heavy. By midnight, the reality was setting in. Two innocent 10-year-old girls had vanished without a trace. And what nobody knew yet was that the monster responsible was already watching the chaos unfold when hope turned to fear. By the morning of Monday, August 5th, 2002, Soham had transformed from a peaceful village into the center of a desperate search. Families, neighbors, and friends filled the streets, handing out leaflets with Holly and Jessica's smiling faces. Police officers knocked on doors, scoured alleys, and questioned locals, hoping for even the smallest clue. Within 24 hours, the case had escalated far beyond the village. Hundreds of officers from surrounding counties joined in, and helicopters hovered above, scanning the fields and rivers with infrared cameras. The girls' faces appeared on the front pages of every newspaper, and the nightly news broadcasts were dominated by their disappearance. It wasn't just a village searching anymore. It was the entire country. The pressure grew heavier with every passing day. Parents kept their children indoors. Rumors spread quickly, each one more frightening than the last. Across Britain, people clung to the hope that Holly and Jessica were still alive, that maybe they had wandered off and gotten lost. But as days turned into weeks, that hope began to fade. Volunteers formed human chains, sweeping through fields inch by inch. Specialist divers searched local rivers. Even the nearby RAF airbase at Lakenheath provided support. The operation was one of the largest ever mounted in the UK for missing children. But despite the sheer scale of the effort, there were no answers, only growing fear. And in the middle of it all, a familiar face kept appearing on television, pretending to help, while hiding a terrible secret. The caretaker's dark secret. Among the sea of worried faces in Soham, one man stood out, Ian Huntley, the local school caretaker. He lived just a short walk from where Holly and Jessica had last been seen. Huntley appeared calm, even helpful. He gave interviews to reporters, expressing his concern and describing how he was the last person to see the girls alive. His words sounded sympathetic, but his eyes told another story. On August 5th, 2002, as the search intensified, Huntley confidently told journalists that Holly and Jessica had passed his house around 6:30 p.m. the previous evening. He claimed they looked cheerful and carried on walking. He painted himself as a helpful witness, someone doing his part for the community. But behind closed doors, Huntley was hiding a horrifying truth. That evening, when the girls walked past his home, he called them inside. He told them his partner, Maxine Carr, a teaching assistant at their school, was inside and wanted to see them. The girls trusted him. He was familiar, safe, or so they thought. But Carr wasn't home. The moment Holly and Jessica stepped inside, their fate was sealed. Maxine Carr later provided Huntley with a false alibi, claiming he was with her that night. She insisted she only wanted to protect him, not realizing, or perhaps refusing to accept, what he had truly done. While the entire nation searched for two innocent girls, Ian Huntley smiled for the cameras. The predator was hiding in plain sight. The moment of truth. For nearly 2 weeks, the search continued with no answers. Then, on August 17, 2002, a gamekeeper near RAF Lakenheath in Suffolk, just 12 miles from Soham, made a grim discovery. In a remote ditch, concealed by undergrowth, lay the badly decomposed bodies of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. The innocence of hope was gone. Now it was a murder investigation. Attention quickly turned to Ian Huntley. Detectives had grown suspicious of his behavior. He seemed too eager to insert himself into the case, too ready with details. Forensic scientists began examining his home, his car, and his clothing. And soon, the evidence began to surface. One of the most crucial breakthroughs came from forensic botanist Professor Patricia Wiltshire. She studied trampled plants near the ditch where the bodies were found and matched them with microscopic plant material, pollen and seeds, found on Huntley's shoes and inside his car. The results were chillingly precise. Huntley had been at the very place the bodies were dumped. Meanwhile, inconsistencies in his statements grew impossible to ignore. He claimed he accidentally caused the girls' deaths, but his story shifted with each interrogation. On August 20th, 2002, Ian Huntley and Maxine Carr were arrested. Huntley was charged with the murders of Holly and Jessica. Carr faced charges for providing a false alibi. The community's caretaker, the man who had once looked parents in the eye and offered reassurance, was finally unmasked as the killer. Justice and legacy. The trial of Ian Huntley began at the Old Bailey in November 2003. For weeks, the nation listened in horror as the details of his crimes were laid bare. Huntley tried to claim that both girls had died by accident inside his home, an excuse the jury rejected. On December 17, 2003, he was found guilty of murdering Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. The judge sentenced him to 2 life terms with a minimum of 40 years, meaning he will likely die behind bars. Maxine Carr, who had lied to protect him, was convicted of perverting the course of justice. She served 3.5 years in prison before being released in 2004 and given lifelong anonymity. The Soham murders left Britain shaken to its core. Huntley had a history of allegations involving young girls that had never shown up in background checks. All the system, creating stricter vetting for anyone working with children. Out of tragedy came change, but for 2 families, nothing could ever repair the loss. Every year, tributes are paid to Holly and Jessica, remembering not just the horror of their deaths, but the light of their short lives. They were only 10 years old, 2 best friends who should have grown up, lived, and chased their dreams. The Soham murders remain one of the darkest crimes in modern British history, a chilling reminder that sometimes evil hides behind the most ordinary smile. If you found this case as disturbing and heartbreaking as I did, don't let their story be forgotten. Like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more true crime stories that reveal the darkest truths hiding in plain sight. Because sometimes, knowing the past is the only way to protect the future.